The dumb truth. Slowly but certainly, depression is becoming one of the world's biggest medical issues. Can you imagine an illness whose treatment costs nothing more than a few comforting words, an understanding, a warm smile, or a cheerful greeting, or just a speck of hope could be just as deadly as any other terminal disease? Because everyone in this 21st century loves to play, your shit's none of my business. Well, unless it raises up my social media likes. While others are way too busy scrolling away on their telephone screen to check on neighbors or friends. That's the kind of society we now live in, where a victim tells you, "Hey, I'm drowning. I'm gonna commit suicide." And the sure reply they'll get is, "Wait, don't start yet. Let me go grab my iPhone camera. I want to be the first to post it." That's the kind of responsible answer you get when asking for help from anyone in the 21st century. Funny, but true. Medically, depression is a clinical diagnosis that negatively affects how one feels, thinks, or acts. It renders the victim's mind numb and keeps them in a constant state of gloom, leaving them with the impression nothing's worth sticking around for as they lose interest in anything bright or lively. In short, it's like one of these Walking Dead movies we've watched, or Resident Evil. Depression is a virus that turns its victims into actual, real-life zombies. Culturally, depression was generally believed by blacks to be a white man's disease. So if a black man gets caught with depression, it's viewed as a taboo, or they are being too assimilated with the whites that they are now copying white diseases. Factually, one of the common causes of depression is race. Many Africans have just realized that depression knows not race, age, class, or gender distinction. So they are now trying to sensitize the public about this frugal but killer disease. While religiously, depression is believed to be an evil spirit or a demon that children of God should pray against, and as a Christian, you don't want to be caught with depression. It lets off the impression you're not spiritually strong. To a certain extent, it might be true, but how to judge the facts? You might actually want to read your Bibles. Few fun facts about depression you should keep in mind before you get involved in particular situations. 1. Did you know that close to 300 million people worldwide, according to WHO statistics, suffer from depression? Which leaves me thinking, if these 300 were medically recorded, how about the victims hiding behind religious or social pretexts? So the actual victims might reign up to 500. Second, did you also know that out of these 300, the female gender covers a greater part of it? Women, as we know it from the onset, have always been fragile beings. So their depression might stem from fickle things like heartbreak, not marrying the right man, putting on an extra pound, not buying or having that expensive bag Angela has. These are things treated as serious as an impending third war in the sisterhood. Third, it should also be known that 75% of teenagers get depressed because of school. There'll be no point explaining that, as we all know how that playground looks like. Giving a big shout out to all the brothers of the Malian Square Nobel Societies and the school NASCAM regime. Fourth, 22% of young adults have fallen into depression, and 21.0% of teenagers are taking the same bus. And the remaining percent has been well covered by actual adults going through actual real-life situations. Fifth, a depressed victim attempts suicide close to 8 times, which they might actually at first few attempts succeed. Funny fact, when a depressed victim attempts suicide for the first few times, they leave obvious clues in hopes of getting help. So take note, if anyone close to you dies from depression, it is also a sign of your negligence. Sixth, depression causes hallucinations and is also related to psychosis. In plain terms, craze, memory loss, or constant forgetfulness. So I suggest people to stop blaming poor witches and wizards for every nutcase running round the streets. 7. One of the easiest treatment for depression is therapy, psychiatric help, or simple counseling. The three things our government actually neglects to provide its citizens with. And soon, they'll be brainstorming at health meetings on how to save the 21st century before they all turn from social zombies to depressed zombies. Lastly, depression is also heritable. So if you happen to find yourself in a state of depression at some point in your life for no apparent reason, well, I suggest you blame your ancestors.